Esau and Edom, Part 5, Red to White. So how did my brother Esau go from being red, which in Hebrew is Adonai, to being white? And in Hebrew, white is Laban. Here we have a picture of Herring Rosenberg. He is a Jewish person, which is basically a convert. He is not a descendant of the children of Israel. But most important, I want you to pay attention. Notice the color of his beard. It is red. Now, if I would just look at his physical features alone, my gut is telling me he is most likely a descendant of Esau. For in the word it has been written that they would take the inheritance of Jacob. In other words, they would take out our identity and claim to be the chosen people of YAHUWAH, but in actuality, they are not. Now, the first thing we need to look at is, what is the biblical definition of leprosy? And in the Bible, we will find this answer in Leviticus chapter 13 and chapter 14, Matthew chapter 5, verse 36, Exodus chapter 3, verse 6 through 7, Numbers chapter 12, verse 10 through 12, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 8 through 9, 2 Kings chapter 5, especially verse 27, and 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 5. Leviticus chapter 13 and 14 give us very specific details and characteristics of what is leprosy. Now let us go to Leviticus chapter 13, and we shall read verses 1 through 4. And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. So in verse 2, we have some specific characteristics, but notice that a person do not have to have all three. It said a rising, which is another word for rising is swelling, or a scab, or a bright spot. Let us read verse 3. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight be deeper than the skin of the flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on and pronounce him unclean. So here we see a specific characteristic of what happens with the hair. It turns white. Let us read further. Verse 4. If the bright spot be white in the skin, deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut him up that had the plague 7 days. Now we will read Leviticus chapter 13, verses 29 through 37. If a man or woman hath a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. So in this verse we can see that to have yellow hair, which is blonde hair, is a sign of leprosy. Verse 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague of the skull 7 days. So this verse will give us a very important characteristics of the Israelites. For having black hair was the normal characteristic, but for them to have yellow hair, that was not normal. That was a sign of leprosy. So now we have another characteristic that we can place under the children of Israel. But let us continue. Verse 32. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave, and the priest shall shut up him that have the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes, and be clean. But if be in his sight at a stay, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. So as we can see from reading this passage, that having blonde hair too is a sign of leprosy, or someone who was plagued with leprosy. And this plague can be spread down to their children's and children's children. And remember, this was given in the covenant that was made with the children of Israel on Mount Sinai. And it's the reason why he gave them this covenant, because they was to be a holy people unto him. Now let us go to the next slide. Now let us go to Leviticus chapter 14, and we'll read verses 33 through 35. Pay very close attention, because it's a reason why he told them this particular characteristic of leprosy. 33. And the Most High spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When ye be come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in the house of the land of your possession, and he that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, It seemed to me there is it were a plague in the house. So as you can see, when the children of Israel possessed the land of Canaan, he would put a plague upon the Canaanites. And the reason why we need to look at this is because we also know that his brother Esau did marry into the Canaanites as well. So this could be one of the reasons of why Esau was also plagued with leprosy. But let us go to the next slide to establish more proof. Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. And the reason why I brought out this verse here, because it goes along with Leviticus chapter 13. But this is the confirmation that the Israelites' hair was black. And we also know that white also means to have gray hair. For we all know when we become old or older, we have gray hair to show as a sign of our wisdom. And then in the next slide, we would talk about the characteristics of YAHUWAH and Yahushua. For Yahushua has white hair now. And we will talk about those characteristics in the next slide. Now, let us go to the Bible to find examples of leprosy. And the first place we'll go to is Exodus chapter 3, verse 6 to 7. Exodus chapter 3, verse 6 to 7. And the Most High said further and more unto him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thy hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So here in this passage, Moses was giving a sign to show to the children of Israel that he was sent by the Most High. Now, this was during the period when they were servants in ancient Egypt. Now, this is also proof to confirm about Leviticus 13, that leprosy, well, one of the characteristics of leprosy is when the skin turns white. Because in verse 6, it said that his hand was leprous as snow. Now, this is also proof that my people were Negroes, or in other words, they were black. Let us now go to Numbers chapter 12, verse 10 to 12. Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Most High, saying, Hear her now, O Most High, I beseech thee. So here we have another example of what leprosy looks like. For it would change a person's skin as white as snow. Again, it's confirming Leviticus chapter 13 and confirming that my people were black. Let us also go to 2 Kings chapter 5, and we'll look at verse 27. 2 Kings chapter 5, 27. The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from hence present a leper as white as snow. Now this verse here will prove that all white people are not Edomites. As you can see here, the Most High do punish wickedness or unrighteous acts with the plague of leprosy. So to this day, Naaman's seed is walking with the plague of leprosy. Let us also go to 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 5. And it reads, And the Most High smote the king, so that he was leper unto the day of his death, and dwelt in a several house. And Jotham, the king's son, was over the house, judging the people of the land. So when you understand Leviticus chapter 13 and 14, you will see why the king could not rule, for he was unclean, he was unholy. So his son had to rule in his place. Do you see how the Bible give you the truth? For in Esau kingdom, they want to give you a lie on who are the children of Israel and what is their true color before the mixing and the raping began. Let us go to the next slide to provide proof that the Most High do punish people with leprosy, also known as white skin, for unrighteous acts and wickedness. Here is the proof that you seek to prove to you that the Most High do punish wickedness or unrighteous acts with leprosy. And leprosy is a person becoming white. They're no longer black, but they become white. Also, that person can have blonde hair as well. Or that hair can turn gray too early in life, what we have read in Leviticus chapter 13. So let us read Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 8 through 9. Verse 8. Take heed in the plague of leprosy that thou observe diligently, and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you, as I have commanded them, so ye shall observe to do. Remember what the Most High thy Elohim did unto Miriam by the way, after that ye were come forth out of Egypt. So as you can see, when you read Numbers chapter 12, that Miriam and Aaron had done an unrighteous act, and the Most High was not pleased. So he put the punishment upon Miriam to set her as an example. Now let us go to the next side to learn about the characteristics of the Most High and of Yahushua HaMashiach. The characteristics of Yahuwah and Yahushua. We can find them in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, and chapter 10, verse 5 through 6, Revelations chapter 1, verse 13 through 6. And in your spare time, I would like for you to read Ezekiel chapter 1, for it gives you the characteristics of the cherubims. Let us go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So here we have the characteristic of Yahuwah. Now, the pure wool hair that he has is also the same texture that the children of Israel had. And the reason was not Adam made in the likeness and his image? Was not the children of Israel the sons and daughters of Adam? Therefore, they would bear the same texture of hair. Now, today we call it kinky hair, knotty hair. But no matter how you look at it, it came from the Most High. Let us go to the next verse. Daniel chapter 10, verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Now we know Yahushua HaMashiach comes from the tribe of Judah. And we also know, according to the scriptures in Hebrews chapter 2, or Hebrews chapter 1, that he wanted to be made in the likeness of his brethren. So if he bear polished brass in the heavenly realm, and he came to earth as a black man, in the past time they called us Negroes because of our black skin, would not the Most High look like that too? Is not Yahushua just like his father and represents his father? Is not the children of Israel made in the likeness and image of the Most High? Do you see where I'm going with this? There have been so much lies told about our Savior, about the children of Israel, and about the Most High. For everybody wanted to play this race game and call it racism instead of acknowledging the truth about their true appearance. We are quick to accept a false image of Yahushua and don't question it. But when a Negro come and tell you that he is truly black, you have a problem with it. But let us go to Revelations chapter 1, verse 13 through 16 to confirm that he is a black man. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were a flame of fire. So he has woolly hair too, like the fallen. So does the Hebrew Israelites. And we know white hair is gray hair too. for it also has no melon in it. Verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So his feet was like unto fine brass that burns in a furnace. What happens when you burn brass into a furnace? It get darkness on it or blackness on it. My people, the words say that no unrighteousness will inherit the kingdom of heaven. No matter how you feel about this, we have to tell the truth of what the word tells us on what and who Yahushua is and the Father. In other words, we have to be honest. They are black, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we got to start accepting the truth. Let us go to the next slide to continue to get understanding about leprosy. Okay, to review what we just learned in this presentation of how Esau went from being red to white, we learned that he did intermarry with the Canaanites. And the Canaanites were plagued with leprosy as a punishment for their wickedness. Now, I do want to make this clear because I am aware that Edom did have his own land too. But that does not mean that all of his children reside in that land. People do move about. And the proof of what I'm saying is that when you read Exodus chapter 12 and Deuteronomy chapter 23, when the children of Israel came out of ancient Egypt, the other nations fought out behind them. And one of those nations were the Edomites. Yes, I keep telling you, my people, you got to read the whole book. It's so much information and clues that we miss. And this is how we get into the problem of the false doctrines or get into the problem of develop our own opinions. But getting back to the topic. So by him intermarrying with the Canaanites, that is one way how he could have became white. Also, the Most High could have punished him just alone for being wicked, and we can see that being proven in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 8 through 9, that the Most High will punish a person for unrighteous acts. And that also can be seen in 2 Kings chapter 5. Now, number 2, with the blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin, there is another nation that we're not aware of, and most of us haven't even thought about them. It's an ancient nation, and I will elaborate more in the next video, which would be which would be in the next video. But we also need to look at where did these blue eyes come from, okay? Because according to science, the original eye color of man was brown. So where did the blue eyes come from? Do you see how it's important to pay attention to the characteristics of Esau and look at today? For we can see how the brunettes came about. For he had intimates with the Canaanites, and they more than likely probably had black hair. And I often wonder why they would call them brunettes, but now I understand because you see the redness hues in their hair. As well as with the blondes, you see like some red hues in the blondes as well too. I think they call it honey blonde or strawberry blonde, something like that. So we can see that Edom has spread his seed throughout the world, okay, because they do move about. Also, I forgot to mention in number 3, Herring Rosenberg, that was a picture I showed you of a Jewish person, a convert who resembled or most likely has the traits of Edom. And you can see that in his beard because his beard is red. He also came out with an announcement, and I would put the video link in the description box, that they now have DNA evidence to prove that my people who reside in Africa are the children of Israel, which also would prove that that my people who came from the transatlantic slave trade, that they too are the children of Israel. And then there's another brother that's out here also providing evidence by DNA to show the whole world that we are the children of Israel. And I'll put that link in the box as well. So thank you for watching. I know this video was a little longer, but again, I thank you. And please watch part 4B And most importantly, I don't care if you're an Edomite or Israelite or a Gentile, receive salvation, Romans 10:8-13, and be baptized in the name of Yahushua. For this is the season for him to return. And only those who truly repent shall be saved and not receive the plagues that and judgment that's coming upon all nations of this earth. Again, thank you for watching. Shalom.